The glass walls of TechCore Industries headquarters stretched toward the San Francisco sky like a monument to my family's success. My brother Alex's success, to be precise. At 32, he was the golden boy CEO of our family's tech empire, while I was, well, according to them, just playing with computers in my apartment. I adjusted my worn hoodie, deliberately chosen over the designer clothes they preferred, and walked past the security desk. The guard didn't even look up. Nobody paid attention to the CEO's quirky sister who hadn't found her path yet. My phone buzzed with another desperate text from Alex. Maya, please. The system's crashing. We need you. Need me. After 3 years of dismissing my startup as a hobby, after countless family dinners where they talked over my attempts to explain my work in quantum encryption, after Mom's constant, "When are you going to get a real job like your brother?" Now they needed me. Because TechCore's revolutionary new security system was failing spectacularly, and their stock was in free fall. The elevator opened directly into the executive floor where chaos reigned. Developers huddled over laptops, executives barked into phones, and in the center of it all, Alex paced like a caged lion in his perfect Tom Ford suit. Maya. He rushed over, dark circles under his eyes betraying sleepless nights. Thank God. The quantum encryption protocol is collapsing. None of our team can figure out why. I bit back a smile. The protocol you said was, what was it? Amateur hour coding, when I tried to show you the vulnerabilities last year. This isn't the time for. Or was it when you told the board my startup was playing around with theoretical concepts while TechCore builds real solutions? His perfectly maintained CEO facade cracked. Maya, please. We're losing millions every hour. The government contracts, the banking systems, everything runs through this protocol. I pulled out my laptop, deliberately stickered with my startup's logo, Quantum Shield Solutions. Show me the system. The next hour was a deep dive into their code. It was exactly what I'd warned them about. Their quantum encryption protocol had fundamental flaws that my startup had solved months ago. Flaws they'd dismissed when I tried to point them out. Your quantum key distribution is misaligned, I explained, pulling up my own code for comparison. You're losing coherence at the quantum level. That's why the system's failing. Alex leaned over my shoulder, his expensive cologne mixing with the scent of desperation. Can you fix it? I already did. I showed him Quantum Shield's solution. 6 months ago. Remember? When I tried to get TechCore to partner with my hobby startup. He had the grace to look embarrassed. Maya. The solution you need? I closed my laptop. It's patented. By my company. The executive floor went quiet. Alex's face paled as understanding dawned. The sister they'd dismissed as unfocused, the startup they'd mocked as a hobby, we owned the only working solution to their crisis. My phone buzzed again. Mom, this time. Darling, are you helping your brother with his little computer problem? Family has to stick together. Little computer problem. Right. The same way my quantum encryption breakthrough was just playing with codes. I texted back. Actually, I'm discussing a business proposition. My company may have a solution TechCore needs. Alex was already calling an emergency board meeting. Whatever you want, he said quickly. Name your price. I stood up, smoothing my deliberately casual clothes. Oh, I will. And Alex, you might want to warn the board that this time, they'll be negotiating with a CEO, not your hobby coding little sister. Through the glass walls, I could see San Francisco stretching out below, the city where I'd built my company while they'd built their assumptions. They thought I'd been playing, but I'd been planning. And now their billion-dollar empire needed my hobby to survive. The following week's technology headlines told the story better than I could. TechCore announces partnership with Quantum Shield Solutions. Quantum encryption breakthrough saves tech giant. Silicon Valley's new power player. Maya Chen's rise from hobby coder to tech savior. I sat in my new office, formerly Alex's corner suite with its panoramic view of San Francisco Bay, reading the press coverage. The door opened without a knock. Some habits die hard. Maya, Mom swept in, designer handbag swinging. We need to discuss this situation. I didn't look up from my tablet. The situation where my hobby saved your family's company? Or the situation where I now own 30% of TechCore's revenue stream? This vindictiveness, she perched on the edge of a chair. It's not becoming. Your brother is devastated. Devastated. I finally met her eyes. Or embarrassed that his quirky sister just became his boss? Right on cue, Alex appeared in the doorway, looking uncomfortable in business casual. Part of my new company culture changes. No more suits unless meeting clients. The technical team needs your approval on the quantum protocol integration, he said, not quite meeting my eyes. Put it in the queue, I replied, turning back to my tablet. Like I had to do every time I tried to show you my work over the last 3 years. Mom's perfectly maintained composure cracked slightly. Maya, please. We're family. Funny, I pulled up an old email on my tablet. That's not what you said when I asked for TechCore support last year. What was it? The company can't risk resources on uncertain ventures just because of family connections. Alex shifted uncomfortably. That was different. We didn't understand. No, I cut him off. You didn't try to understand. You were too busy being the golden boy CEO to notice that your hobby coding sister was revolutionizing quantum encryption. My phone buzzed. A message from our new head of PR. Google wants to do a feature piece. From dismissed to dominant. The Quantum Shield story. Perfect timing. I showed them the message. Mom, you'll love this part. They want to interview the family that dismissed my work as a hobby. Should I tell them about the Christmas dinner where you asked if I was still playing with computers while Alex announced TechCore's now failing security system? The color drained from her perfect makeup. You wouldn't. Actually, I would. Because this isn't about family anymore. It's about setting the record straight. My assistant's voice came through the intercom. Ms. Chen, the board is ready for your presentation on the new quantum security infrastructure. I stood, straightening my deliberately casual blazer over a Quantum Shield t-shirt. Duty calls. Oh, and Alex? The technical team's approval request? Denied. Tell them to review the documentation I sent 3 years ago. All the answers were there if anyone had bothered to read them. The boardroom looked different now, with 3 Quantum Shield representatives sitting where old TechCore dinosaurs used to rule. Dad sat in his chairman's seat, but the power dynamic had shifted seismically. Let's discuss the future of quantum encryption, I began, standing where Alex used to command attention, and why TechCore's previous approach was fundamentally flawed. For the next hour, I detailed exactly what they'd missed while dismissing my work. Every patent they could have shared, every breakthrough they'd ignored, every opportunity they'd lost because they couldn't see past their preconceptions. Questions. I concluded, watching their faces shift between shame and revelation. Maya, Dad spoke up, his voice lacking its usual authority. I think we all owe you an apology. An apology? I laughed softly. Dad, you owe me 3 years of ignored innovations, millions in lost opportunities, and 1 very prime parking spot. The apology is just a bonus. My phone buzzed again. Another message from PR. Forbes wants to do a cover story. The hobby that saved $1 billion empire. I showed it to the board. See, that's the beautiful thing about success. It rewrites everyone's memory of failure. Later that evening, as I packed up my new office, Alex appeared again. The technical team revised their proposal, he said quietly. Based on your old documentation. You were right. All the answers were there. Of course they were. I closed my laptop. I tried to tell you that for years. But hey, at least my hobby was there when your empire needed it. He flinched. I was wrong. We all were. Yes, you were. I headed for the door and my new parking spot. But look on the bright side. Now you work for your little sister's hobby. How's that for a plot twist? The San Francisco sunset painted the sky in shades of victory as I drove home. My phone kept buzzing with family messages. Mom, darling, about that Forbes interview. Dad, the board wants to discuss expanding your role. Alex, can we talk about the technical team's new proposal? I ignored them all, focusing instead on the email from Google's CEO about potential quantum collaboration. Let my family stew in the consequences of their dismissal. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just proving people wrong. It's making them work for the person they underestimated. Because sometimes a hobby isn't just a hobby. Sometimes it's an empire in disguise, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal its power. And as for TechCore, they learned the hard way that the next big thing in tech might just come from the person they least expected. the one they dismissed as playing with computers while the real business was being done. Now they all worked for my hobby. And that was worth every dismissed dinner conversation, every ignored presentation, every condescending pat on the head. Because in the end, the code doesn't care who wrote it. It only cares if it works. And mine worked perfectly. 3 months later, I stood on stage at the World Technology Summit, delivering the keynote speech that was supposed to be Alex's. The audience, filled with tech giants and venture capitalists, hung on every word as I explained how Quantum Shield's hobby code had revolutionized cybersecurity. In the front row, my family sat watching. Mom had finally stopped trying to fix my casual tech CEO style. Dad had stopped introducing me as Alex's sister, and started using Quantum Shield's founder and TechCore's savior. And Alex? He'd learned to knock before entering my office. The future of technology isn't about titles or traditions, I concluded my speech. It's about innovation regardless of where it comes from. Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from the projects others dismiss as hobbies. The standing ovation was satisfying, but not as satisfying as the email I received during the applause. Google offering $2 billion for exclusive rights to Quantum Shield's next quantum encryption protocol. I forwarded it to Alex with a simple note. Remember when you said hobbies don't pay the bills? Because sometimes the best success story isn't just about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right, one line of code at a time. And as for my family, they finally learned that some hobbies are worth taking seriously, especially when they end up owning your company.